Need a little help planning your 4th of July menu? Or maybe someone asked you to bring a dish and you're wondering what to make? I've got you covered. Today, I'm sharing some of my favorite recipes for backyard barbecues, family picnics, potlucks, and summer gatherings. These are recipes I've made for my own family and shared with friends over the years. They're budget-friendly, make-ahead friendly, and perfect for feeding a crowd. Welcome back to Nancy's Homestyle Kitchen, where I share how to cook real food with simple ingredients and no pressure to be perfect. One quick thing to go over before we jump in. Today is all about the side dishes. I'm going to let you decide whether you're grilling burgers, hot dogs, chicken, ribs, steak, because honestly, the side dishes are my favorite part anyway. So today we're going to build a menu around the recipes that complete the meal. Don't worry about taking notes. Every recipe has its own full step-by-step video on my channel, and I've linked them all in the description box below. All right, let's start building your cookout menu. Let's start with one of my all-time favorite cookout side dishes, my Tailgate Triple B, beef, bacon, and beans. If you're asked to bring baked beans, don't just open a can and call it good. This recipe takes pantry staples and turns them into something that people will actually remember. It's loaded with ground beef, bacon, and 3 different kinds of beans, all simmered together in a sweet and tangy sauce. It's hearty enough that it almost eats like a meal, but it pairs perfectly with any protein. One of the biggest reasons I recommend this recipe for summer gatherings is because it's so flexible. Most of the time, I make it in my slow cooker, which keeps the oven off and the kitchen cool on those hot summer days. I always use a slow cooker liner too, so cleanup is about as easy as it gets. This is also a fantastic make-ahead recipe. In fact, I think it tastes better the next day after all those flavors have had time to come together. I love the recipes that work with your day instead of taking you away from it, and this one is exactly that. Now that we've got the one hearty side dish covered, let's add something creamy that everyone, including the kids, will be excited to see on the table. Macaroni and cheese. If you've never made macaroni and cheese in the Instant Pot before, you're gonna love how simple this recipe is. Everything cooks right in the pot, so there's no boiling pasta on the stove, no draining, and no heating up the kitchen on a hot summer day. Once the pasta is cooked, you simply stir in the milk, add cheese a handful at a time until it's smooth and creamy and absolutely delicious. One of the things I love about this recipe is that it became my starting point. So after making it a few times, I started experimenting with different cheese combinations until I found another version my family really enjoys. So don't be afraid to do the same. Once you have a good base recipe, you can make it your own. Every summer cookout needs a great macaroni salad, and this one holds a special place in my heart because it was the first recipe on my channel that really connected with people around the 4th of July last year. I've always felt like macaroni salad falls into one of 2 categories. It's either swimming in dressing or it's dry and flavorless, and there doesn't seem to be much in the middle. So I started tweaking a few Amish macaroni salad recipes until I found what I thought was the perfect balance. The result is a salad that's creamy without being overly saucy, full of flavor without being overly sweet, and one that still just tastes as good the next day. There's one little trick that I share in the full recipe that really sets the salad apart. I think it's what gives that familiar, comforting flavor that people can't quite put their finger on. No one's ever guessed what it is. They just know they keep going back for another spoonful. This is another recipe that I almost always make the day before. It travels beautifully in a cooler, and unlike so many macaroni salads, it doesn't dry out overnight. So if you've never found a macaroni salad that you absolutely love, I'd start here. Now let's talk potato salad, because I don't think you can have a summer barbecue or a picnic without it. Actually, I have 2 different potato salad recipes on the channel, and they each have their own personality. The first is my traditional potato salad, and it's probably the one I make most often. One of my favorite things about this recipe is that I share a really simple formula that takes all the guesswork out of figuring out how much to make for your crowd. So whether you're cooking for 2 people or 20, I'll show you exactly how I do it in the full recipe. I also cook the potatoes and eggs together at the same time in the Instant Pot, which saves a ton of time, means fewer dishes to wash, and makes this recipe even easier. Now, if you're looking for something that's a little different, my loaded baked potato salad is another fantastic choice. It has everything you love about a loaded baked potato: crispy bacon, cheese, sour cream, green onions, and it's always one of the first bowls to disappear at a gathering. It feels a little indulgent, but it's made with simple, budget-friendly ingredients that everybody loves. So here's how I would decide between the two. If I'm gonna serve burgers and hot dogs at a backyard barbecue, I'm probably making the traditional potato salad because everyone loves a good classic. But if I were smoking a brisket or ribs and I wanted something just a little different, that's when I pull out the loaded baked potato salad. It pairs perfectly with those rich barbecue flavors. Speaking of wanting something just a little different, if you're ready to give everyone a break from the usual macaroni and potato salads, this bruschetta chicken pasta salad is a fresh, colorful option that's perfect for summer. It has all of the fresh summer flavors that just seem made for this time of year: juicy tomatoes, fresh basil, tender chicken, and a simple dressing that all come together in the salad that's colorful, fresh, and filling. I especially love making this one during the summer when the tomatoes and basil are in season. If you grow either one in your garden, this is a great way to enjoy them. And just like the others, you can make it ahead of time, let those flavors mingle together in the refrigerator, and then simply grab it and go when it's time to head out the door. Drizzle with some additional balsamic glaze just before serving. Perfection. Deviled eggs, the one thing that almost every summer cookout seems to have on the table. And it just so happens to be the recipe I'm asked to make more than any other. In fact, I just took 2 trays to a women's gathering yesterday, and over the Memorial Day weekend, I traveled out of state to visit my family. My sister-in-law had already bought all the ingredients because she wanted me to make deviled eggs for the family get-together. For years, though, I dreaded making deviled eggs because I struggled so much with peeling them. It seemed like I'd lose half the egg white before I ever got the shell off, and I was left with eggs that looked pretty rough. Then I learned how to cook eggs in my Instant Pot, and it completely changed the game. They peel so much easier, which makes this recipe so less frustrating to make. The one thing I really like about this video is that I actually shared 2 different versions. There's the classic deviled egg that everybody expects, and then I show you a barbecue-inspired version that's perfect for grilling season. Okay, we've covered a lot of the classic cookout favorites, but maybe you're looking for something fun to set out while everyone is visiting and the grill is heating up. If that's the case, my Grill's pickle dip is a great choice. I'll be honest, I wasn't quite sure what to think the first time I heard about pickle dip, but after one bite, I understood why it's become so popular. It's creamy, crunchy, loaded with fresh pickle flavor, and comes together in just a few minutes. It's one of those appetizers that keep people wandering back for just one more scoop. Now, I usually serve it with a big bag of potato chips because, well, chips and dip are kind of my kryptonite, but it's delicious with crackers, pretzels, or fresh vegetables. And if you're on social media, you've probably seen this pickle dip popping up everywhere. I think it's kind of fun to show up with one of those trending recipes because everyone says, "Oh, I've been wanting to try that," and immediately reaches for a chip. If I'm hosting, this is exactly the kind of appetizer I'd set out with my deviled eggs while everyone's visiting and we're waiting for the burgers to come off the grill. One of my favorite summertime desserts has always been my Grandma Winnie's lemon bars. This is one of those family recipes that has stood the test of time. They're bright, fresh, perfectly sweet with just the right amount of lemon, and after a big barbecue meal, they're a perfect way to end the day. I also love that they're easy to make ahead. I like to bake them first thing in the morning while the house is still cool, let them chill overnight, and then they're ready to slice and package for easy transport. For me, recipes like this are more than just dessert. They're little pieces of family history that get passed on from one generation to the next, and I'm thankful I get to share this one with you. Now for the chocolate lovers out there, my caramel turtle brownies are always a hit. These start with a rich, fudgy brownie, and then they're layered with gooey caramel, crunchy pecans, and chocolate chips. They're decadent without being difficult, and they always disappear quickly. One thing I actually love about serving these at a summer barbecue is that they're perfectly happy sitting on the dessert table for a little while. In fact, I think they're even better after they've sat in the sunshine for a few minutes and that caramel gets nice and soft. They're easy to make ahead, easy to transport, and easy to serve, which checks all the boxes when you're feeding a crowd. If I'm taking dessert to a cookout where I know there's going to be plenty of chocolate lovers, this is the one I choose. The recipe I want to share is one that's filled with a lot of memories for me. Frog eye salad. Now, if you've never had it before, don't let the name scare you away. It's a classic dessert salad that's creamy, fruity, light, and one of those recipes that always seems to show up at summer picnics and family reunions. I actually came across an old family photo yesterday while going through some of my parents' pictures. This is my grandma Winnie and her sister Aunt Babe. They both made frog eye salad. And seeing this picture of them laughing together immediately made me think about all the family reunions and summer gatherings we shared over the years. It also made me wish they were both still here, sitting around the picnic table with us. That's one of the things I love most about cooking. Recipes have a way of keeping people close to us long after they're gone. Every time we make them, we remember the people who first shared them with us. Frog eye salad is one of those recipes for me. It's easy to make ahead, it feeds a crowd, and somehow there's never much left by the end of the day. If your family has never tried it before, I'd encourage you to give it a chance. The kids think it's funny and love it just as much. I hope today's video gave you a few new recipes for your 4th of July menu. One of the things I love most about the holidays like this is that they're filled with traditions. Some families always have grandma's potato salad. Others wouldn't dream of celebrating without deviled eggs or baked beans or that special dessert everyone looks forward to all year. It's funny how a simple recipe can become part of a family story. And my hope is that one or two of these might become part of yours. Now, I want to hear from you. What is the one recipe your family can't imagine celebrating the 4th of July or a summer picnic without? Tell me in the comments because I read them all and I love hearing about traditions that make your family unique. If today's video gave you a few new ideas, I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up and subscribe. It really does help my channel and I'd love to have you back in the kitchen with me again. However you're celebrating the 4th of July, I hope it's filled with good food, lots of laughter, and people you love. See you next week with another recipe from my kitchen.